Hi, my name is Parkson and welcome to another edition of Ask the Experts. Today I have with me again Professor Michael Chia, who is the Professor of Pediatric Exercise Science at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University. He was NIE Dean for Faculty Affairs for 7 years, where he provided leadership and mentorship to 12 heads of department and previously headed the Physical Education and Sports Science Group and was concurrently the chairman of the NTU Healthy Lifestyle Committee. Professor Chia received his doctorate in Pediatric Exercise Physiology from Exeter University in the UK and was conferred a first-class honours degree in Physical Education and Sports Science from Loughborough University. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He was conferred a Best Diploma Student Award and a Distinction Teacher of Physical Education Award from the College of Physical Education in Singapore. Now, that's much more actually to the, to bio of Professor Chia, but you can find it on the web. I will put the link in the video description if you want to get to know more about him and read the research that he has done and published. Welcome again, Professor Chia.
Thank you, Parkson. I'm very pleased to be here.
Yeah, it's always a joy talking to you because this is an area of interest. I'm not an expert, not even close to it. So I really want to learn, and today I want to learn from you even more about this area of health and fitness in old age. So today's episode is entitled "Staying Fit Over 40." Okay, and in particularly for men and fathers, because I'm a father. I'm over 40. I'm actually over 50. So I really want to know what must I do in order to stay fit and be prepared for old age. All right. So people are living longer today, but not necessarily healthier or fitter. Okay. So that's why we want to look into this issue, and it's quite urgent, I would say.
Yes, thank you, Parkson. Thanks very much. I'd like to start off by differentiating between lifespan, which is how long you live, and health span, which is the quality of your living. Whilst in Singapore, because of our good economy and advances in medical science and medicine, people are living much longer, possibly one of the highest in the world. I think the average lifespan for Singaporean men is at least 81 years, so that's a long time. But that said, according to our National Health Survey, a recent, just 2020, while we are living longer, this 81 years, right, towards the last decade, the last 10 years, so from 71 to 81, many of us, the majority of us, are carrying some form or living with diseases. Which now means that we are to some extent curtailed in what we can do or cannot do. So our quality of life is affected. So what we should be aiming for at all life stages, of course we're talking about getting on in years, is the quality of life. So how do we enhance our quality of life? So it's health span. One is to be physically more active. And of course, with managing your stress properly, as well as eating nutritionally well. So that's very important to enhance quality of life. The next point I'd like to bring up is to differentiate between physical activity and fitness. Right? So we ask the question, fitness for what? So if you're talking about guys and men, all of us have gone through national service. And it seems such a long time ago, right? So national service gets us very fit to do soldiering type of activities. So, if we're called to, God forbid, called to war, then we can perform the tasks in the defense of our nation. However, as we get older, things change also. And of course, COVID as well has changed our lifestyle. So we cannot maintain the kind of fitness that we have when we're in our 20s compared to now 40s or even 50s. So the question is, fitness for what? So fitness is the ability to perform physical tasks as demanded by our work or our lifestyle. So the fitness required of, for example, a policeman would be very different from that of an office worker, for example, or laborer for that matter, who does a lot of physical tasks, policeman who does a lot of footwork, walking the ground and so on, compared to an office worker that predominantly is desk-bound. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say is required to, what's the fitness requirement for someone in old age? Old age meaning 60, 65 and above. What are the things that he or she should be able to do?
Yes. Okay, apart from specificity in terms of like the job, your hobbies and all that, which can be quite diverse, we look to our World Health Organization as well as our Health Promotion Board. So we have what we call guidelines, physical activity guidelines that include sedentary behavior and so on for healthy living. So obviously, in order to come up with these guidelines, I'll share the guidelines in a minute. From 18 to 64 years old, all right? And then from 65 upwards is another set of guidelines. Indeed, those would be for aging, which we can talk a little bit more shortly. So for adults 18 to 64 years old, what you're expected to do for, a very wholesome kind of lifestyle that allows you to do quite a range of activities is that you should try to accumulate between 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity activity per week. Now, let's break it down a little bit. So what that translates to, if you just divide it by 7 days, so 150 minutes is about 21 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity. And that's not difficult to do in a 16-hour day, assuming you slept about 8 hours a day. So, and it can be done, 21 minutes, 300 minutes would be about maybe 40 minutes, 42 minutes, thereabouts. This is the whole range. This is what we call the Goldilocks duration, that you get optimal benefits. If you do too much, then that you displace some activities, maybe there's a risk of injury and so on. So apart from this moderate to vigorous physical activity, maybe your viewers would like to know, say, what's moderate to vigorous physical activity? Actually, when you are doing those kinds of activities, you will know what I mean. You'll be slightly breathless. So climbing stairs, for example, to climb up a flight of steps doesn't take very long. If you're talking about at the MRT, from the top to depending on which station you're at, maybe a minute, no more than a minute and a half. And that's actually a very good thing. You know why? Because some of the latest findings that are coming out says most of us are sedentary, that means sitting down for at least 8 hours a day. Some of us more, but it's about, generally our studies are showing about 8 hours a day. In order to stay healthy and combat balance against these 8 hours, you can do about 2.5 minutes of moderate vigorous activity for every minute of sedentary time. Then you will accumulate that. So, stair climbing, if you do it just once, about a minute, you do it twice, 3 times a day, you would have been more or less covered already, moderate. Of course, if you can do more, you get more benefits. So that's just what's moderate vigorous activity, and then the duration. So 150 minutes to 300 minutes per week. Over and above that, in terms of activity, for this age group, 18 to 65, you also want to do at least 3 days of a week of some muscle and bone strengthening exercise. So some resistant type exercise, some weight bearing type of exercise. All right, so that would cover the physical activity guidelines. And why do these guidelines, right? So the World Health Organization, as well as our Health Promotion Board, says this is the Goldilocks range, which reduces your risk of premature death due to disease. So due to modern day diseases, they call them hypokinetic diseases. These are cardiovascular diseases, stroke, hypertension, and some forms of cancer in both male and female. So if you are able to accomplish this guideline, you are deemed to be physically active. Now, what does it mean to be physically fit? That is a higher order one. So if you are physically fit, particularly cardiovascularly fit, meaning aerobic type fitness, there is quite a bit of protective things against heart disease. So physically fit people have a lower risk of heart disease. Furthermore, of course, if you are aerobically fit, that means you can do a lot of other things. But we mustn't forget about the muscle and bone strengthening exercises, because muscle and bone strengthening exercises helps you cultivate very good bone health. In other words, as we age, we start to leach our calcium, meaning we start to lose our bone mass. So there is a condition of osteoporosis, which you see actually sometimes in the streets. You see elderly very much bent over. That is because of poor bone health, osteoporosis, which means a lack of physical activity as well as insufficient calcium intake throughout the lifespan, particularly when they are young.
So if we adopt a begin with the end in mind approach, so let's say we project ourselves into the future where we are 70, 75, 80, God willing, beyond that, and looking at the the senior citizens among us today and the type of things they're struggling with, like struggling to stand up from a sitting position, struggling to walk long distances. Well, we're not talking about, from one housing estate to another, just from their home to the nearest coffee shop or to the supermarket, the wet market, or even for some, making their way from their bed to the toilet. All right, they're struggling, falling down and breaking their hips and their bones are also quite common. So can you tell us what are some of the things that we can do right now from today? Let's say we are 40 and above, 50 and above, what are some of the exercises or activities that we can engage in, that will help us be fitter by that time?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Our lifestyle indeed is a very big influencing factor, right? So the first thing you want to do is to look at our habitual lifestyle. So the World Health Organization, together also with HPB, said, the mantra now is that every move counts. Every movement counts. No matter how unfit you are or how sedentary you are, every move counts. So what that means is that try not to sit down for long periods of time. And if our work or our lifestyle requires us to be sitting down most of the time, then you want to break up sedentary time as much as possible, which includes, standing up for, a short while, 5-10 minutes, go wash your hands, go to the toilet, make yourself a drink, climb up some stairs. All those things, as I said, climb up a flight of stairs take less than a minute, right? And if you do that for every hour that you are sitting down, that is a wonderful start. That's a wonderful start. One of the likely projects we wanted to do, actually I saw it at the MRT as well now, but it's contrasting. We had the stairs and it says take the stairs, use the handrails, all very good thing. But next to it is the escalator. So for you get one person going up the stairs and then, like at least 50 other people on the escalator. So
we will always choose the path of least resistance.
Yeah. So, and it's a free exercise machine over there. And, Singapore, everywhere is well ventilated. You talk about, we live at workplaces, high rise, even just a few flights of stairs. Of course, get yourself clear. Even if you're not taking flight of stairs, then you break up sedentary time. So that's one thing you could do.
Okay, let's pause there for a while. Let's talk about walking. Yeah, so walk as much as you can. Walk from point A to point B, right? Today, more people are using the personal mobility devices, right? Even though they may not be handicapped or crippled, all right, they still use it because maybe they're overweight and walking is very difficult. But all the more, I think they are the ones who ought to be walking more. But anyway, that's not the main thing. So walk as much as you can. The magic number, 10,000 steps. Is it really that? Is it scientific in that sense?
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up. By the 10,000 steps originated from Japan. When they first started out, it was more like a campaign, just a target to get people going. But there's a lot of research that is been ongoing till today. It's more than 50 years when they first introduced that number. But it's now age dependent. You don't even need to do more 10,000 steps, although that's a good target. 10,000 steps, they calculated, let me put it in perspective first, is equivalent to be about like 20 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity. They compare in the same group of people, in natural settings. So it's about right for adults. But if you cannot even do that, firstly, don't try not to, and these days you have gadgets that can monitor your step count. So that's wonderful. Technology, you can see for yourself. So try not to do less than 5,000. 5,000 and below is deemed as sedentary. It's as good as you're sitting down all the time. But even if you are sedentary, standing up even periodically, every hour makes a difference compared to sitting down without any movement. You know why? Actually, scientifically, the enzymes that metabolize fat. Obviously, right, we don't want to be sedentary because we put on weight, particularly put on excess fat, and excess fat are all contributors to heart disease and all the other deadly diseases that we can avoid, right? So that's the reason. So don't do under 5,000. For the elderly, actually, so we're talking about 70, 65 and above, about 7,000 steps is a threshold already that you can start to see quite a lot of benefits. Whatever the message, every step counts. So even from, if you started only with 200 a day, slowly, every week you go up by a bit, you will get there. Of course, how to walk as much as possible, right? So you talk about some tips. Always have a good pair of walking shoes, because some of us wear dress shoes, a bit uncomfortable, right? Clickers, and then not much support and so on. So you could have your dress shoes in the car. I was about to say take public transport. In the office, a spare pair of shoes, so something that you can, encourage you to walk so that you're comfortable. If better still, I'm so glad to hear Singapore, more cycle paths and all that. So that's even another step further. So walk as much as you can. Break up your sedentary time as much as you can.
And you can just put an insole into your dress shoe so that it's more comfortable and maybe provides you more support. Yeah. And the other thing you mentioned is also stair climbing. And I think that's also a very interesting thing, although many people probably will say, no, it's a bit too tough. What are some benefits in terms of, for stair climbing, all right? I remember you talked about, certain muscles, right, that will be activated and they will be, if it's kept maintained well, it will be beneficial in old age. What are those muscle sets?
Sure. The muscle sets most engage in stair use, because stair climbing implies only climbing, right? You can have stair ascent and stair descent. Stair descent, going downstairs, of course, is easier than going upstairs, right? So for people who are starting out, maybe going down steps would be the first part, which will be easier if you're talking about easier things. And then when you get a little bit better, alternate, then climb up the steps. So the sets of muscles, obviously, your leg muscles, your quadriceps, your calves, of course, your buttock muscles as well. And then, if you hold your stomach in, your core strength is improved. So stairs are wonderful, because in a minute of stair climbing, maybe you get 50 reps, So it's 50 steps. And those 50 steps don't take 1 minute. And you probably feel a bit more breathless when you finish it, but then you are recovering, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? that for every alternate things, you take your stairs. Yeah, beginning when you start, okay, take your escalator, then take the stairs, take your escalator, and then see how that goes. But I think beyond just the physical part, the thing you can monitor is that find out whether you sleep better. A lot of adults don't sleep well. So that's the other thing, the health span that I was talking about. If by just breaking up sedentary time, maybe taking the stairs, you can say, you can monitor in yourself, what is the quality of your sleep? Again, you can use your gadget, right? Do you get up very often? Is your quality of sleep a little bit better? We had performed a very simple study previously, and being physically more active by breaking up sedentary time, not sitting in your office all the time, actually improve their sleep quality. These are adults in your age span that you talked about, 45 to 55, and they lead very stressful lives. And they also reported, we measured lower systolic blood pressure. So again, blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, at that point is better. They also reported less lower back pain. So you have all these improvements, sleeping better and so on. And usually these lifestyle habits go hand in hand. Since you put in the effort in stair climbing, right, and you're sleeping better, maybe you manage your stress better, then the next step is eat more fruit and vegetable. So they all somehow go as a package.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And one reinforces the other. And of course, vegetables also, you get vitamins and minerals, which is important for bone health as well.
Yeah. So talking about bone health, because osteoporosis, and things like that, brittle bones, is also one of the common things that old people, struggle with. And so you did mention about, how to maintain your bone density, bone mass in old age, and of course it's calcium and vitamin D, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I guess that mostly comes from food. Do anyone need supplements?
Okay, thank you for that. Now, supplements are always very controversial, right? They will tell you, we don't eat very well, or the marketeers, or the messages is always, we don't eat very well, we are always highly stressed. How do you know you eat a balanced diet? So no harm done. But supplements, the first thing you should know is do you need supplements, you see? And of course, it's a money-making industry. If you eat a balanced normal diet with a wide variety of all sorts of foods, and you eat it as much as possible to, like the Health Promotion Board, the healthy plate way, then you do not need supplements at all. And supplements are no substitute for real food. And you can overdose on supplements, particularly the fat-soluble supplements, the vitamins A, D, E, and K. The daily requirements for them are very small. We're talking about micrograms. Micrograms, very so easy to overdose. And supplements are very concentrated. But there are issues also about purity of the supplements and all that, whether they are because they are non-regulated. The food supplements are non-regulated unlike medicines, they have to go through the FDA, the US system that Singapore follows as well. So natural foods are always better, tastier also. So supplements should not be used as a substitute, and usually they should be given only on medical advice. Yeah.
So unless the doctor tells you might have certain condition where you're losing bone density, and you're not even in that so-called old age yet, right? So maybe that would be a good reason for the doctor to prescribe you some supplements. But if that's not the case, then what I hear you say is just eat a all-rounded, variety, full range of different types of food, and you are probably okay.
Yes, and also coupled with the activity that you do, because when you are physically active, you have what we call a higher energy turnover. You use more calories, but you also eat more. So you stimulate, like your engine is kept in a very good running speed.
Yeah.
This morning there was in the papers about okay, you couple with exercise and eating a wide variety of foods. So fruit and vegetable are very important for living long life as well as cognitive decline. You were talking about talking about aging, right? So one of the issues that we have is say, okay, never mind, all a bit slower. So, but the brain also ages. If you're not engaged, right, you get cognitive decline. Not only is your quality of life lower because you keep forgetting things, but the people around you also may get very frustrated. You cognitively you're slow, or you have dementia, or you're on the slippery slope down. Some of the other mental diseases because of isolation. So exercise, also one of the health benefits of exercise is that you are outdoors, so you are seen, and you outdoors you have sunshine for vitamin D also. So everything is out there. When you exercise, you meet new people, you're challenged, you make a lot of decisions. Climbing stairs, you have to be attentive, right, and safe. You make a lot of decisions as you become physically more active, because turn left, turn right, speed up, slow down. All these are cognitively challenging type exercise. And better still, you socialize. So self-esteem goes up, interaction, care and concern in the community also. So these are all the benefits of health span, not just in the physical sense. And because you have that, you feel good about yourself, you look good, you are energetic, everything else goes up.
That's right.
I'm not sure if you saw that video, someone 58, 59 years old, housewife, never exercised in her life, but her son teaches parkour, which is very using body weight type exercises, and she took part in it, and her sense of confidence just went up, and she could do so many things, confident in her own movement. And I think that's very important. Earlier, you brought up the example saying, people on personal mobility devices. That means, the only exercise they get is turn left, turn right, and stop.
And press the horn.
Yeah. So a variety is a spice of life in eating, in doing things, and improving your health span. And part of that also, you inspire other people, right? People benefit from your interaction. There is less there's less isolation. So depression, all these comes about because of a lack of, social interaction and loneliness and all these things. Yeah.
So let's move on to strength. Okay. How do we develop strength for the old age, so that, in old age, we are not frail, we are not, we can't even lift up, we go shopping, but we cannot carry the groceries home.
Yes, so strength is very important. Your body weight in itself is so you can do body weight supported type exercise or partially supported. So things like push-up, grip strength is very important too. Like you say, functional strength, I would say. Anything that helps you perform your daily living. So stair climbing is also, or rather stair use is one of them. Walking fast, walking slow, walking up slope, walking down slope, all these things. And interestingly, if you look at young people at play, do those things that young people, as in, children, rediscovering balance and so on. Of course, by this age, you will know, take safety precautions. If you don't know your health status and you have not been very active, make sure you get medical clearance to exercise. Go slow on some of the exercises. Use yourself, enjoy the exercise, not so much as exercise, for all the other things that confer you. So if you are walking around, notice the things around you, right? Feel the breeze in your hair. I hardly got any hair. The breeze in your face. Smell, the sounds and so on, anything, and you become curious. And better still, do it with people, your loved ones.
That's right. You talked about grip strength. So I just want to kind of zoom in for a minute. Grip strength. So I've read somewhere that, you should try hanging yourself on a bar, like a chin-up bar, right? not trying to do the chin up itself, but just hang. And ideally, you should be able to hang there for about a minute, right? Or at least something close to that. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
It helps, but if you are very heavy to start off with, right, then you need somebody to help you support partially. Of course, if you are members of gym, then you have assisted machines that can actually support your body weight and chin up. But indeed, it's a very easy exercise and free exercise to do. In fact, at the fitness parks, I do see the elderly people much older than myself, they're just hanging. So
how old are you, by the way?
I'm 59.
Oh, all right. We're just 2 years apart. Okay. Wonderful.
So you know how many pull-ups I do minimally on a daily basis.
Thank you for sharing that video with me. I was so impressed. I said, I can never do that, man.
I started with 2, but that was about 5-6 years ago. But now it's just something fun to do.
Yeah. It is fun. It is fun. Yeah. And you also talked about walking up slope and down slope. I can imagine the benefits of that because, it's about controlling, right? Controlling your body, being very mindful, taking each step carefully. I read an article also about rewilding, right? Rewilding means connecting back to nature, connecting back with the wild. Today in our cities, in our housing estates, we have a lot of walking paths and they're all, concrete surface, right? Very smooth, very level. And some say that, that actually has some disadvantages because, when we are walking on such level floors, our ankles, for example, they are not strengthened enough as compared to walking on uneven ground or on grass patches, on sand, for example. Like what our ancestors used to do, and so therefore they have stronger legs and ankles and joints and things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, and firstly, let me comment about the paths and all that. The good things, levels and all that for the masses, right? So that's a good way to start, right? When we say start small first, you want to start small, you want to be safe first, right? So, most of the places are very safe. So Singapore is extremely safe, in terms of walking, whether it's the traffic or footpaths and all that.
Except for the cyclists and the PMPs.
Yes, I was about to say some might debate it. Now you dodge. Dodging is an advanced skill, to react fast also, right? Actually, all those are dodging, reaction, all those is part of components of fitness to, reaction time, decision making and so on. So let's go back to walking paths. Firstly, that's a good place to start for the majority. Then as you get better, challenge yourself by going on a nature trail where, the things are less even. So the sense of balance. So you get your proprioceptions, your internal balance senses in place. Very important for old age, So in fact, the guidelines earlier when I started out the World Health Organization, right, for 65 and above, apart from the duration, which is the same, 150 to 300, then 3 times a week of strengthening, muscle strengthening, resistant type exercise, and then balance also. So dynamic balance, so balance. But, obviously when you are exercising, these balance things come about. You don't actually have to consciously do that, right? So imagine you walk from a normal footpath, level footpath, onto slopes, onto nature trails, which are not even those cross-country things. So naturally, you have to put it into exercise, right? It comes into play itself. So those naturalistic settings, walking on the beach, so, and like the good thing about the parks near the beaches, right? They got nice walking paths, they got grass patches, and then they got sand. So you can, and maybe even some slopes.
That's right.
So you get also the variety helps intuitively, all the challenges you make life. So naturally, of course, in the early stages of humankind, we got no choice, but they're all rough terrain. So climb high, climb low, and so on.
Yeah, gone are the days that we climb trees.
Climbing, unfortunately, nowadays not many skills. You only have to go to the fitness park to get the monkey bars, right, to hang from, or the chin-up bars.
On the rock walls, right?
Yes. Yeah. And there are a lot of elderly people who do that as well. But of course, we're just emerging from the COVID pandemic into an endemic stage. There is some amount of catching up. Our studies are showing that while some people benefit, how do they benefit? Health span wise, more home cooking perhaps. For some others, maybe more outside food that they order. So not maybe too much salt, too much fat, not very healthy. For some, they got more time for exercise. Yet for others, they never exercise. So we have to be mindful that we're not coming out on an equal footing. So to start slow, I forgot to mention that while you are exercising these days, it's only May, but it's extremely hot. So make sure that we are adequately hydrated. Make sure we wear proper clothing that is conducive for exercise, so you're not absorbing the heat. You make sure you have water bottles available, so that because the elderly get dehydrated very quickly, and so you want to watch out for those things as well. Don't exercise or don't go out at the hottest time of the day.
I presume we don't need weights, right? Or if you are the kind of guy, right, you have been carrying weights, I think it's okay to continue. But someone like me, I've not carried weights most of my life, so probably it's not advisable for me to start with weights. So what can I do to build a bit more muscle?
You could do body weight support, body weight type exercise. So your pull-ups or push-up before that, and there are so many different varieties of push-ups that you can do. Squats are very good. So work on all the major muscle groups first, the big muscle groups, and usually performing this kind of exercises involve many muscle groups involved. Say doing the push-ups, you got your chest, your back, your arm muscles coming into play, your trunk as stabilizers. So do all these, what would they call calisthenics? That means without the weights, because weights means you got to learn technique, posture, and so on, which is another skill. So, but your body, you know best, and it's also good to discover new muscles that maybe you never knew existed after you exercise, and start slow. So what do you mean by start slow, right? So, perform exercises that you can do properly. If you're not sure, you could get some assistance. You could look at some good YouTube videos or some pictures, or sometimes look at how other people do it correctly. But these are simple exercises that most people should be able to do it. And then, time yourself for 15 seconds first, 30 seconds, how many you can do. Don't rush it. Don't hold your breath. Continue to breathe normally. These are what we call functional exercises. So exercises that, is like walking, jogging, these kinds of exercises, and strength conditioning type exercises. The guys would have many ideas of all the exercises that they have performed while they are in active duty, and some now doing reservice also. I hardly see people doing pull-ups anymore because they're all doing push-ups. Because the fitness test changes as well. Then don't forget your crunches, your core strength, your planking type exercises. Yeah. So all these are strength exercises and doesn't take long to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think 30, 45 minutes you should be able to do quite adequately. Sure. I was introduced to resistant bands, so I'm using that right now, and I find it very useful, very enjoyable also, and not difficult to do.
And they come in different colors, right, with different resistance offered as well. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So, but of course, that one, you need to be informed and about the techniques, because otherwise you might hurt yourself, right? You might pull a muscle, injure a tendon or something like that. So
it becomes like a kettlebell, right?
That's right. Instead of you stretching it, it will stretch you.
Can I just share this part about, I was struck by what you say outside. We're so used to the rhythm of our life, right? Whichever age we are, 40s, 50s, but it's always my rhythm, right? Your work rhythm, your exercise rhythm, your routine rhythm, which has a certain tempo. One of the joys I get going outdoors, I don't deliberately go out and seek these, is you recognize in nature, there's a different rhythm. So if you look at birds, you look at butterfly, you look at plants, all different rhythm. So you start to appreciate, other things around you, not just human beings, even other animals, pets, and so on. So the world is so much bigger and so much richer. And by realizing it and enjoying it and embracing that, we're so much the better.
Oh, so true, so true. But you know what? Just being transparent here, during the pandemic where we were forced to, it was mandatory to wear masks, at the outdoors, right? When you're outdoors, so in the morning, I want to wake up and smell the roses. I couldn't smell anything. And I know why. I have my mask on.
Yeah.
Well, today is optional. So usually when I'm outdoors, I would not be wearing my mask. So I can smell the air. I can smell, both good and bad. But talking about butterflies and all that, to be honest, the park near my place, which is just practically downstairs, there are hardly any butterflies. I used to see dragonflies a few years ago, but no more. Right. So, it's really an urban setting that we're living in, sadly. All right. So thank you once again, Professor Chia, and have a very, very nice day.
Thank you very much, Pak Sen. Thank you for having me.